Hello students, let us continue with the story of Jim and Della. In our last class, we saw how sad Della was because she could save only $1.87 and it was Christmas. Now let us see what Della does in order to buy a beautiful gift for her husband. Here it goes. Suddenly she whirled from the window and stood before the glass. Her eyes were shining brilliantly, but her face had lost its color within 20 seconds. Rapidly, she pulled down her hair and let it fall on its full length. So, in our last class, we saw that Della stood in front of the pier glass and looked at herself. It is said that her eyes were shining brilliantly, okay? But her face had lost its color within 20 seconds. So this particular line, her face losing its color, has a great significance, which the latter part of the story will tell us. The fact is that actually she had an idea in her mind how to get some more money to buy a nice gift for her husband. And that idea or thought made her sad, and that is why her face had lost its color within 20 seconds. Rapidly, she pulled down her hair and let it fall to its full length. She was now looking at her beautiful hair again and again in front of her or in front of the mirror. Is it clear, children? Now, there were two possessions of James Dillingham Young's in which they both took a mighty pride. One was Jim's gold watch that had been his father's and his grandfather's. The other was Della's hair. So these two young fellows, Jim and Della, they had two very priceless possessions. One was Jim's watch, which was inherited from his father, and his father got it from his grandfather. And the other was Della's long, beautiful hair. Had the Queen of Sheba lived in the flat across the air shaft, Della would have let her hair hang out of the window someday to dry, just to depreciate her Majesty's jewels and gifts. Had King Solomon been the janitor with all his treasures piled up in the basement, Jim would have pulled out his watch every time he passed just to see him pluck at his beard from envy. Now these two biblical characters, Queen of Sheba and King Solomon, they are brought in here in the story just to make us realize the importance of these two prized possessions to both Jim and Della. Della's beautiful hair was like a cascade of water, and it is said that if she dried her hair and if the Queen of Sheba happened to see her hair, it would actually bring down the value of all her jewels and wealth. Okay? On the other hand, if King Solomon the wise, you all have heard about him. If he had been the janitor means caretaker of a particular building or something like that, a caretaker happens to see that watch possessed by Jim, then he would just try to take out his beard in envy. So these two characters represent Queen of Sheba and King Solomon. They represent the royalty. So even the royalty would be envious of these two prized possessions possessed by Jim and Della. Now, little bit about the Queen of Sheba. According to the Jewish and Islamic traditions, she was the ruler of the kingdom of Sheba, Arabia. She used to visit the court of King Solomon at the head of a camel caravan bearing gold, jewels, and spices. According to the Bible, the purpose of her visit was to test Solomon's wisdom by asking him a number of riddles. You all know that Solomon was known for his wisdom. So the Queen of Sheba used to visit him very often and ask him riddles just to test how much he knew. In the same way, Solomon, he was the king of Israel who built the first temple in Jerusalem. And he is, as you all know, is known for his wisdom. So it's clear to you why Queen of Sheba and King Solomon are brought in the story, just to make us realize the importance of these two prized possessions possessed by this young couple. So now Delah's beautiful hair fell about her, rippling and shining like a cascade of brown waters. She possessed beautiful hair like a cascade of brown waters. It reached below her knee and made itself almost a garment for her, as if it was a garment covering her, so long, so beautiful. And then she did it up again nervously and quickly. So she looked at her hair again and again, nervously and quickly. There was some sort of nervousness in her, some hesitation also, you can say. Once she faltered, that means she hesitated for a minute and stood still while a tear or two splashed on the worn red carpet. So what she did, she kept on looking at her hair again and again, thinking, waiting for a minute. Then at last, tears rolled down her eyes and fell on the worn red carpet. Just see the words, worn red carpet. It was an old carpet and tears fell on that carpet. Why? Do you know? She was planning to sell her hair so that she could buy a nice gift for her husband on Christmas. She loved her husband dearly. At the same time, she also loved her long, beautiful hair. But she loved her husband more than her prized possession. So you see, children, this is sacrifice. Okay, parting with a thing which you love the most is called sacrifice. So she sacrificed. In the end, you will see, she sacrifices her long hair for the sake of her husband, in order to see him happy, to give him something nice and sterling on Christmas Day. Okay. On went her old brown jacket, on went her old brown hat, with a whirl of skirts and with the brilliant sparkle still in her eyes, she fluttered out the door and down the stairs to the street. So Delah was now getting ready to go out and sell her hair. So she wore her worn out jacket, brown jacket, her skirt, but see that line, brilliant sparkle still in her eyes. So the excitement was there. The thrill was there that at least she found a solution to her problem. She was so worried. She was so depressed that she would not be able to get a nice gift for her husband. Now that she had found a solution, she was very happy, and the sparkle, the glitter was there in her eyes. And what she did, she just went out of the house. Where she stopped, the sign read, Madame Sofronie, hair goods of all kinds. One flight up, Delah ran and collected herself, panting. Madame, large, too white, chilly, hardly looked the Sofronie. So that was the place where she could sell her hair. So Madame Sofronie, that name is ironical. Okay, so Sofronie, the word comes from the Russian origin. It means wise and beautiful. It is also the name of a saint, Romanian saint. But this lady, Madame Sofronie, did not have any of those characteristics. She was very cold and she did not show any excitement on seeing such beautiful hair. Okay, now let us see. And she is described as a lady large, okay, to white chili hardly looked the Sofronie. So this is ironical. Her name is ironical. Will you buy my hair? Asked her. So Della was also in an excitement to sell her hair. So she asked her, will you buy my hair? I buy hair, said Madam. Take your hat off and let's have a sight at the looks of it. So she was also very professional, cold, to the point, okay, straightforward, and she said, yes, you just take off your hat and let me see how long is your hair. Down rippled the brown cascade. So her beautiful long tresses like cascade or water ripple down. $20, said Madam, lifting the mast with a practiced hand. So she just lifted her hair and said, for this hair you will get $20. Give it to me quick, said Della. So Della was in a hurry because she wanted the money at any cost. So she said, okay, give it to me quick. Oh, and the next 2 hours tripped by on rosy wings. Forget the hash metaphor. She was ransacking the stores for Jim's present. So, for the next 2 hours, tripped by on rosy wings. So it's a metaphor. She was in great excitement. She was very happy after getting that money, $20. Okay, so it seemed that those 2 hours were the best hours of her life, very pleasant. After getting the money, she went to that store searching for the present that she wanted. So it's a metaphor. According to the writer, it's a metaphor, but it is a hash metaphor. Rosy wings, you understand, something nice, okay, something optimistic. Forget the hash metaphor. So, but it is a hash metaphor. Hash means what? Something which is over and over again, a stale metaphor. Because it is said that O. Henry at that time was in a hurry to complete his writing. So he used this metaphor in a hurry, and it is not a proper metaphor, okay? Because how can you say that the next 2 hours tripped by on rosy wings? How can hours travel on rosy wings? So it's not a very good metaphor. It's not the accurate metaphor. Okay, is it clear till here? She was ransacking the stores for Jim's present. She found it at last. It surely had been made for Jim and no one else. So after that, after selling her hair, she was very excited, full of happiness, and she started visiting the stores. Okay, ransacking here means thoroughly searching, frantic search. Okay, so from one store to another, she was ransacking the stores, and at last she found the present for Jim, and she was so happy on finding the present, and it seemed that that gift or that present was meant only for Jim and no one else. Clear? There was no other like it in any of the stores, and she had turned all of them inside out. It was a platinum fob chain, simple and chaste in design. So she tried to find a gift worthy of her husband, and she visited every store possible. And she had turned all of them inside out. That means she made a frantic search. There was no other like it in any of the stores. So she had one particular fob chain in mind which would suit her husband, which would match with the watch that he possessed. So she was looking for that particular thing. And she had turned all of them inside out. It was a platinum fob chain, simple and chaste in design. Simple, very pure, simple, no ornamentation, yet very beautiful. Properly proclaiming its value by substance alone and not by meretricious ornamentation. It means that it had that simplicity, it had that value. Not only that, it had that outer beautiful appearance, but it was simple and very much like her husband, as all good things should do. It was even worthy of the watch. So it matched the watch very well. As soon as she saw it, she knew that it must be Jim's. It was like him, quietness and value. So this is the description of her husband. Jim is described as a very simple young gentleman, very pure at heart, quiet, and who did not have the outward show or whatever you say, that ornamentation which is used in the case of that watch. So that watch, or that platinum fob chain which was meant for Jim's watch, very much was like Jim. That is why Della was very happy on finding it. The description applied to both. $21 they took from her for it, and she hurried home with the 87 cents. So it cost her how much? $21, and with the rest 87 cents she returned home. With that chain on his watch, Jim might be properly anxious about the time in any company. Now that he possessed that beautiful fob chain attached to that watch, he would be very confident about his time and about his watch, and he could look at it anytime in the presence of other people also. Earlier he lacked the confidence because he did not have a proper chain attached to it. Grand as the watch was, he sometimes looked at it on the sly on account of the old leather strap that he used in place of a chain. So earlier he no doubt possessed a very beautiful watch, something which he had inherited from his forefathers, but he did not feel confident. He felt embarrassed to see the time in front of others because that watch had a leather strap attached to it. Now that with that gold chain, now that with that platinum fob chain attached to it, Della thought that Jim could look at the watch in the presence of anyone. Clear, students? When Della reached home, her intoxication gave way a little to prudence and reason. So, what is the intoxication referred to here? Intoxication means that the highest level of excitement that Della had. When she went out of the house, she was very excited to get the gift for her husband. And when she found it, she was equally excited, and in her excitement, she even sold off her hair. And after she returned home, her excitement, her intoxication was gone. And in place of her intoxication, she gained wisdom, prudence, cautiousness, wisdom, and reasoning. She got out her curling irons and lighted the gas and went to work repairing the ravages made by generosity added to love. So now she realized, oh, what did I do? I got my hair cut. So she was now worried about the reaction of her husband. How would he react when he would come home and find that she had got her hair cut? So she wanted to do something about it. So she took out her curling irons and tried to repair the ravages. Ravages means the damage made by what? Generosity. Generosity implies what? Her generosity for her husband and also her love for him. These two factors, generosity and love, prompted her to part with her prized possession, which is always a tremendous task, a great task. Dear friends, a mammoth task, indeed a huge task, which is very difficult. It's very difficult to sacrifice something which you love so dearly. But Della did it because she unconditionally loved her husband. It was an act of sacrifice on the part of Della. Clear? Within 40 minutes, her head was covered with tiny, close-lying curls that made her look wonderfully like a truant schoolboy. So she tried to make up for the ravages done to her hair. So after that, she looked exactly like a schoolboy, a boy who doesn't go to school without any notice or without informing. She looked like a boy. She looked at her reflection in a mirror long, carefully and critically. Why? Because she was worried about the reaction of her husband. When Jim returns home, how would he react? So she tried to examine herself by looking at the mirror again and again. If Jim doesn't kill me, this means that Jim would get very annoyed with her. She said to herself, before he takes a second look at me, he'll say, I look like a Coney Island chorus girl. So these girls, Coney Island chorus girls, they belong to some dance or singing groups, okay, and they normally have short hair. So she compares herself to one of those chorus girls, no longer having the grace, the poise, the elegance of a lady or a respectable woman. So she thought that when Jim returns home, first he would get very angry and then he would find her like one of those chorus girls. But what could I do? Oh, what could I do with $1.87? Then she again gives explanation to herself, consoles her in a way, says that yes, what could I do? Did I have an alternative? With that meager amount of money, I could not buy a gift worthy of my husband. At 7 o'clock, the coffee was made and the frying pan was on the back of the stove hot and ready to cook the chops. So Jim normally returns home at 7 in the evening. So she was making the snacks ready. Okay, she was ready with the chops, and when he would return home, she would fry the chops and make the coffee. Jim was never late. So Jim was a very punctual person. Della doubled the fob chain in her hand and sat on the corner of the table near the door that he always entered. Then she heard his step on the stair away down on the first flight, and she turned white for just a moment. So she was now panic-stricken when he heard his footsteps on the staircase. She was very frightened. How would he react now if he sees me, when he sees me? So she had that fob chain in her hand and was waiting to give the surprise to him, but at the same time she had mixed feelings. She was turning white. She had the habit of saying little silent prayers about the simplest everyday things, and now she whispered, please God, make him think I'm still pretty. So this is a very significant line here, which shows the emotions of this young girl, Della, who is worried about the reaction of her husband, but her intense love, unconditional love for her husband made her take that step to get her hair cut. So she prayed to God. It was her habit when she was in a dilemma or when she doesn't know what to do, then she prays to the Almighty. Then she prayed to God and asked him, prayed to him and said that let him think, him referred to her husband, Jim, let him think that I still look pretty and that I am his earlier Della. Okay. The door opened and Jim stepped in and closed it. He looked thin and very serious. Poor fellow, he was only 22 and to be burdened with a family. He needed a new overcoat and he was without gloves. So this brings out the economic status of the family. He was just 22 years old. Okay, a young chap you can say, but he got married at a young age, and so he had a family. He had to take care of the family. His income has also come down, so he was struggling really hard. He was making compromises in life. He needed a new overcoat and gloves, but he could not afford. He looked very serious, grim, and he looked thin also, and now Della was waiting for the reaction, how Jim would react when he sees her. Jim stopped inside the door as immovable as a setter at the scent of a quail. So that was the reaction of Jim when he saw Della. So he was without any expression. He was awestruck, too shocked for words. So there's a simile here. So a setter is a long-haired breed of dog that is used for hunting and trained to stand still without moving when scenting a game. So he behaved like that. You know, he did not move, did not say a word and kept on looking at her. His eyes were fixed upon Della, and there was an expression in them that she could not read, and it terrified her. So neither did he scold her, nor did he ask her anything. It was not anger, not sadness, nothing. And this was something which really terrified Della. She was not expecting a reaction like this from Jim. And she did not say anything, and he also kept looking at her, and she could not understand what he was going to do or say, and it terrified her. It was not anger, nor surprise, nor disapproval, nor horror, nor any of the sentiments that she had been prepared for. So we are told that Della was thinking that he might get very angry with her. He might compare her to a chorus girl. So neither of these sentiments were expressed on his face. It was not an expression of surprise, nor anger, nor horror, nor disapproval. So it was something which Della was not prepared for. He simply stared at her fixedly with that peculiar expression on his face. So it was a very strange expression. Della wriggled off the table and went for him. So Della was very scared, very terrified, and so in order to coax him, she went near him. "Jim, darling," she cried, "don't look at me that way. I had my hair cut off and sold it because I couldn't have lived through Christmas without giving you a present. It'll grow out again. You won't mind, will you?" So how she is trying to pacify him. She says that, "See, darling, don't get sad, don't be sad, don't mind. I got my hair cut just because it was Christmas. I couldn't stay without giving you a gift. And sold it because I couldn't have lived through Christmas without giving you a present. It'll grow out again, you won't mind." So she says that it'll grow, my hair will grow. You don't mind, will you? I just had to do it. My hair grows awfully fast. So she is trying to console herself, also trying to explain herself to her husband that, "Listen, darling, my hair grows very fast. Don't worry. I will have the same look again. Say Merry Christmas, Jim, and let's be happy." So she says, now let us forget the present. Today is Christmas. Let us enjoy. Let us enjoy the moment. The moment is what matters to us. Let us forget all these materialistic gifts. Let us enjoy ourselves. It's Christmas. Say Merry Christmas and let's be happy. You don't know what a nice, what a beautiful, nice gift I have got for you. So she says, don't worry, Jim. No doubt my hair is no more. It grows fast. It will definitely grow. But let us enjoy the moment. Let us enjoy Christmas. And you don't know what a surprise I have for you. I have got a beautiful, nice present for you. So this is all about today's class.